a number of women were, a number of Xhosa women, amongst them a Sangoma, a priestess diviner called Nongawuse, were tending crops when they heard voices calling out to them in the bush. Nongawuse, because she was a spiritual person and a healer, responded to these voices. She went together with her sister Nonteto to investigate, and they found a deep hollow in the ground, and from this hollow they heard the voices coming. And as the women knelt next to the hollow, the three amazing figures emerged from the grass. Tall men wearing long black robes made of animal skin, with very big hoods on their heads, appeared out of the hollow. And one of their faces were painted white, or so it seemed to the terrified Xhosa women. And these men were unusually tall. And they told the woman, Nongawuse, whom they distinguished by her attire as a traditional healer, that she must go to the Xhosa people and tell them to start killing their cattle and start destroying their crops. Mr. Icke, I want to show you this book, a book which was published many years ago, a book written by me, and which made me one of the most hated black men in South Africa by the white establishment. In this book, I write, amongst other things, about a man called Sir George Grey. And in this book, I questioned certain things about this man, because Sir George Grey was the creator of race discrimination and apartheid in South Africa. Apartheid was not really created by the Afrikaners. It was created by this man many, many years ago.
Well, Sir George Grey was Illuminati, a black magician, and fits the bill exactly with what happened in all these other countries you're talking about.
Say, when I questioned, when I raised questions in this book about Sir George Grey, I was savagely attacked by nearly every professor in various universities of South Africa.
The intellectual prostitutes, you know?
Yes. The liars in ivory towers, as I call them. I said that the Xhosas did not commit suicide in 1857. They were murdered. They were manipulated by Sir George Grey into destroying themselves.
Isn't it interesting, Credo? I've noticed this myself, that the story you've just told about how those people were manipulated to kill their cattle and what have you, is mirrored again and again in the story that has spawned religion after religion. I mean, whether it's Mohammed or whether it's Joseph Smith with the Mormons, again and again, the initiator has a vision or an interaction with some God figure or angel, and bingo, they get told to do certain things, and the rest is history.
Yes, sir. And what is most interesting is that these interesting angels have suddenly disappeared in recent times. You no longer hear of an angel coming to tell some prophet to establish a new religion. No. Where have they gone? They carefully choose certain times. Now, Sir George Grace, let me go back to him. He manipulated the Xhosa people into killing themselves. And a poor woman, Nongawuse, became the scapegoat, because in every evil thing that has been done in Africa by the white colonialists, as well as by the Arab colonialists, there are always black scapegoats who are left holding the blame. And in this case, Nongawuse was. According to South African official history books, we are told that Nongawuse had had a dream that her people must kill their cattle, her people must destroy their crops. And as a result of Nongawuse's dream, thousands died. And another lie was added to compound this infamous lie. We were told that Nongawuse had been a child when she had this dream. But that's a lie, sir. Photographs of Nongawuse taken after the terrible disaster show her as a mature woman who is wearing a beaded blanket, and on that beaded blanket it is shown clearly in beaded patterns that she was a Sangoma who had undergone several initiations. She was not a girl, but a spinster woman in her 25th year. And Nongawuse had not had a dream whatsoever, sir. She had seen apparitions. She had seen men who posed as gods, who were disguised as supernatural beings, and she had not been alone. And another thing, sir, the Xhosa people would never have listened to the word of any mature child on a serious matter like this, because to all African people, cattle and crops were not regarded as their property, but rather as the property of the ancestral spirits. Now, Nongawuse became a scapegoat. For a long, long time, our people hated Nongawuse for the dream she had supposedly had. And after I had brought questions about this story, after I had been torn apart by newspaper men, Nongawuse's story was suddenly changed and totally omitted in South African history books. I can show you some of these books where this story doesn't occur at all.
Credo, is this story that you're telling in this one incident, can you repeat that again and again across southern Africa as the Europeans took over? Was it a method they constantly used?
Yes, sir. Yes. You see, I can tell you a lot of things that were done. Some of the bloody wars which were started in South Africa between white men and black men were actually engineered by supposedly ancestral spirits, where a king suddenly saw an apparition. Mm-hmm. Now let me tell you, sir, one of these amazing stories, of which there are well over 100. and it is a true story that is known to every student of history in the land known as Lesotho. There was a great king, sir. The king's name was Muhlomi. Muhlomi was a priest king. He was a man who was both a healer and a king.